Hello, guys. Imagine, dear listener, the crisp bite of a winter wind cutting through your woolen cloak as you stand on the frozen soil of Jamestown, Virginia, in the year 1622. The sky above is a leaden gray, heavy with the promise of snow, and the air carries the sharp tang of wood smoke from distant chimneys. You've just arrived in this nascent colony, a world away from the comforts of modern life, where central heating and grocery stores shield us from nature's fury. But here, survival is a daily gamble, and winter is the harshest dealer. Could you endure the relentless cold, the gnawing hunger, the isolation that claimed so many lives? As you settle in for this soothing journey through colonial America's frozen trials, let the gentle cadence of this tale and the imagined crackle of a hearth fire lull you into a state of calm repose. This isn't a story of triumph alone, but of quiet resilience, where every spark in the darkness offers a lesson in endurance. To understand if you could survive, we must first contrast the colonial winter with our own. Today, we flip a switch for warmth, stock our pantries with imported goods, and summon medical aid with a phone call. But in the 17th century, colonists, English settlers fleeing religious persecution or seeking fortune, faced a new world unprepared for their arrival. The winters were brutal, temperatures plunging to sub-zero depths, far colder than England's mild chills. Jamestown's first winter in 1607 to 1608, known as the Starving Time, saw 80% of the settlers perish from cold, disease, and famine. The land, abundant in summer with corn and deer, turned barren, rivers freezing over, trapping fish beneath ice. Books like these, stories of near annihilation, draw us in, reminding us how fragile life was without our modern buffers. Your day begins at dawn, the sun a pale disk struggling through frost-laced windows. Your cabin, a simple log structure chinked with mud and moss, offers scant protection. The floor is packed earth, cold underfoot, and the single room serves as kitchen, bedroom, and living space. You rise from a pallet of straw, shaking off the night's chill, your breath visible in the dim light. Contrast this with your cozy bed today, electric blanket humming. Here, warmth comes from labor. You stoke the fire with logs hauled from the forest, the wood popping as it catches, sending sparks dancing up the chimney. If the chimney clogs with snow, smoke fills the room, stinging your eyes and lungs. A common hazard that led to many a suffocating night. Food is your next concern. The harvest, if bountiful, provides cornmeal for johnny cakes and dried beans for stew. But winter stores dwindle fast. You ration a pound of bread per day, perhaps augmented with salted pork or venison jerky from autumn hunts. Forage becomes vital, nuts gathered from the woods, or bark stripped for a bitter tea. The indigenous peoples, like the Powhatan, taught some colonists to boil sassafras or pine needles to ward off scurvy, a disease that rotted gums and sapped strength. Imagine chewing on tough, preserved meat, your jaws aching, while today you might microwave a meal in minutes. This contrast frames the hardship. Colonial survival demanded foresight, where a failed crop meant starvation by February. Clothing is your armor against the cold. Woolen breeches, a linen shirt, and a heavy coat of animal hides offer protection. But wet snow soaks through, chilling to the bone. Women like Abigail layer petticoats and shawls, their hands raw from washing in icy water. Children bundle in whatever scraps are available, their small bodies vulnerable to hypothermia. Hooks of personal peril draw you in. Could you chop wood with frozen fingers or mend a roof in a blizzard? The wind howls, rattling the door, a constant reminder of nature's indifference. Community is your lifeline. In settlements like Plymouth or Boston, neighbors share tools and tales by the fire, their voices a soft murmur against the storm. Church meetings provide solace, psalms sung to lift spirits. But isolation on the frontier amplifies the danger. Weeks without contact, snowdrifts blocking paths. Contrast this with our connected world, where a storm brings Netflix marathons. Here, boredom breeds despair. Minds wandering to lost loved ones across the Atlantic. As the sun sets early, plunging the cabin into twilight, you light a tallow candle, its flame flickering weakly. The family gathers, sharing a meager supper, the warmth of togetherness a balm. Stories of home or Bible verses fill the air. A gentle transition tonight. The cold presses in, but so does hope. The knowledge that spring will come. Let this scene fade, the fire's glow dimming, as we delve deeper into the heart of winter's trials. The heart of winter descends in January, a relentless foe that tests every sinew of your colonial spirit. Outside your Jamestown cabin, the landscape lies buried under a thick mantle of snow. The Charles River, a solid sheet of ice stretching toward the horizon. The wind howls like a mournful spirit, rattling the shutters and seeping through every chink. A stark contrast to the hum of your modern heater. You awaken to a frost-covered interior, the water bucket frozen solid, your breath a plume in the dim light of a new day. This is the crucible of survival. Could you face the cold's unyielding grip, where every step risks frostbite, every meal a battle against hunger? Let the steady rhythm of this tale, the imagined crunch of snow underfoot, guide you into a tranquil escape from today's world. Your morning begins with labor. You don mittens and a fur-lined hat, stepping into the biting cold to break the ice on the well. The wooden bucket swings heavily as you haul water, your muscles straining against the chill that numbs your hands. Contrast this with turning on a faucet. Here, water is a hard-won prize, each drop precious. You return to stoke the fire, adding logs from a dwindling pile, the wood crackling as it warms the room. But fuel is scarce. Storms have blocked the paths to the forest, forcing you to burn furniture scraps or ration what remains. The fire's heat is fleeting, a tease against the pervasive cold, a hook that pulls you into the settler's plight. Food grows scarcer still. Your stores of cornmeal and salted meat shrink, each meal a thinner gruel than the last. You venture out with a musket, trudging through drifts to hunt, the snow muffling your steps. A rabbit's tracks offer hope, but a missed shot means empty hands and a longer trek home. The indigenous Powhatan, with their knowledge of preserved berries and roots, sometimes trade with settlers, a lifeline in this frozen wasteland. Imagine the taste of a bitter root stew, a far cry from your microwave dinner. Could you stomach it? Day after day. This contrast frames the desperation. Colonial survival hinged on adaptability, where failure meant death by March. Illness creeps in, a silent predator. Scurvy tightens its hold, your gums bleeding as you chew tough jerky, your joints aching with every move. Coughs resound through the settlement, smallpox or influenza spreading in the close quarters of cabins. Without antibiotics, You rely on herbal poultices, yarrow for fever, willow bark for pain, remedies passed down from native healers. The air grows thick with the scent of sweat and sickness, a stark shift from the sterile calm of a doctor's office. Books like these, personal vulnerability, draw you in. Could you endure? Your only medicine, the flicker of hope? Energy conservation becomes a ritual. The short days limit work to a few hours, and you huddle with family under quilts, sharing warmth. The hearth's glow casts long shadows, illuminating walls adorned with dried herbs, a reminder of lost summer. Children whittle wooden figures or recite psalms, their voices a soft counterpoint to the wind's wail. Contrast this with your endless scrolling. Here, stillness is survival, a quiet strength to ease your mind. The transition is smooth. As the fire dies down, you listen for the distant call of a wolf, a natural lullaby blending with the tale. Isolation amplifies the struggle. Storms sever ties with neighboring settlements, leaving you alone with your thoughts. The silence is oppressive, broken only by the creak of timbers or the scratch of a quill as you record the day's trials. Letters to England, if they reach, speak of hardship, not glory. Contrast this with your instant messages. Community, when possible, offers solace. A neighbor might bring a bundle of sticks, their shared breath warming the air. But for frontier families, weeks pass without sight of another soul. A test of mental fortitude. Could you bear the loneliness? Your only company, the crackling fire? As dusk falls, you light another candle, its weak light pooling on the table. The family gathers, sharing stories of spring's promise. Wildflowers, returning birds, a gentle shift to hope. The cold presses harder, but the rhythm of their voices, the imagined warmth of their closeness, begins to soothe. Let this scene linger, the candle's flame flickering, as we move toward winter's waning trials. By late February, the iron grip of winter begins to loosen, its fingers pried away by the sun's tentative warmth. The snow, once a pristine blanket, now slumps into muddy slush. Rivulets carving paths through the settlement like veins of hope. Thomas stands at the cabin door, watching icicles drip from the eaves, each drop a whisper of renewal. The air carries a faint earthiness, the scent of thawing soil mingling with the lingering wood smoke, a stark contrast to the sterile frost of midwinter. Yet this thaw is no gentle awakening. It brings its own perils, a bridge between endurance and revival. Could you navigate this shifting season where relief teases but danger lingers? Let the melting snow's soft trickle, the imagined stir of life returning, ease you further into a tranquil state. The narratives flow, a river carrying you toward rest. The melt reveals hidden threats. Floodwaters rise in the cellar, soaking the last sacks of cornmeal, turning them to a sodden mess. Abigail wades in, her skirts heavy with water, salvaging what she can with a sieve of woven reeds. The damp breeds mold, a silent invader that spoils food and saps strength. Contrast this with your refrigerator's hum. Here, preservation is a constant battle, each grain rescued a victory. Hooks like these pull you in. The fear of losing what little remains. The race against rot in a world without our preservatives. The river thaws with a crack like thunder, its ice fracturing into flows that rush downstream. Thomas ventures to the bank, pole in hand, to spear the first salmon of the season, their silver bodies flashing in the current. The water's chill numbs his legs, but the catch brings joy. A fresh meal after months of salt and dryness. The family gathers around the fire, the fish roasting on a spit, its juices sizzling, a savory aroma that fills the cabin. This bounty, however fleeting, renews spirits, a smooth transition from scarcity to tentative abundance. Yet, the thaw unearths sorrow. Graves emerge from the snow. Wooden markers tilted by the frost heave. A grim tally of winter's cost. The settlement mourns, their voices rising in a hymn at the church, the bell tolling solemnly. Abigail clutches a child close, remembering those lost to fever or famine. The emotional weight is heavy, but it binds the community, neighbors sharing bread, offering shoulders for tears. Contrast this with our distanced grieving. Here, loss is intimate, woven into daily life, a hook that tugs at the heartstrings. Could you bear the burials, the raw earth turned in the cold? As days lengthen, work resumes with vigor. Thomas repairs the roof, patching holes where snowmelt leaked, his hammer's rhythmic tap echoing across the clearing. Abigail plants early greens in a sheltered plot, her hands in the soil a promise of harvest. Children scamper, their laughter a melody against the drip of melting ice, collecting maple sap for syrup, a sweet treat boiled over an open fire. This resurgence contrasts winter's stagnation. Our seasons pass with little labor, but here every task rebuilds life. The indigenous neighbors, the Powhatan or Wampanoag, offer wisdom during this shift. They teach trapping techniques or bark weaving, their knowledge a lifeline in this unfamiliar land. Thomas barters fur for corn, a gesture of alliance amid tension. The cultural exchange enriches survival, a smooth blend of old and new worlds. Imagine the taste of cornbread sweetened with maple, a fusion that sustains body and soul. Could you embrace such adaptation, forsaking our isolation? As evening falls, the family reflects by the hearth. The fires glow warmer now. Stories of England mingle with tales of the New World. The children's eyes heavy with sleep. The wind softens to a breeze, carrying the first bird calls of spring. Let this transition, from hardship to hope, cradle you, the narrative's gentle close drawing near. As the thaw deepens in March, the settlement stirs with a tentative vitality, the mud underfoot a slick reminder of winter's retreat. The air softens, carrying the faint scent of budding willows and the earth's awakening musk. A far cry from the sterile freeze of January. Thomas surveys the fields, his boots sinking into the mire, plotting where to sow the first seeds. The sun, now a warmer companion, melts the last snow patches, revealing green shoots that promise renewal. Yet, this phase is fraught with uncertainty. Floods from swollen rivers threaten to wash away hopes, and the weakened body must rally for spring's labors. Could you summon the strength for this rebirth, where exhaustion meets opportunity? Let the emerging birdsong, the imagined rustle of new leaves, weave a serene path toward deeper calm. The stories flow a gentle current, pulling you along. The floods arrive with a rush, the river breaching its banks, turning paths into streams. Abigail gathers the children, bundling belongings to higher ground, her heart pounding as water laps at the cabin door. Thomas wades through the torrent, reinforcing a makeshift dam with logs and stones, his muscles aching from months of inactivity. The water's chill recalls winter's bite, but now it's a muddy chaos, carrying away tools or livestock if not vigilant. Contrast this with our flood warnings and insurance. Here, loss is immediate. Each item salvaged a triumph. Hooks like these grip the imagination. The roar of the water, the fear of starting anew with nothing. Once the waters recede, the work intensifies. The fields, sodden and fertile, demand plowing. The oxen straining against the yoke as Thomas guides the blade through the soil. The earth yields, rich with the decay of fallen leaves, a cycle of death feeding life. Abigail plants corn and beans, her hands caked in mud, drawing from native Three Sisters methods: corn for support, beans for nitrogen, squash for shade. This knowledge, shared by the Powhatan, saves many. A smooth blend of cultures that enriches the harvest. Imagine the satisfaction of seeds nestled in furrows, afar removed from our supermarket aisles. Could you toil thus, your back bent under the sun? Pests and predators emerge with the warmth. Wolves, emboldened by hunger, prowl closer, their howls piercing the night. Thomas sets traps, his musket loaded, guarding the livestock that survived the cold. Deer raid the young sprouts, forcing constant vigilance. The community unites, forming watches or sharing fences, their voices a low murmur in the twilight. This solidarity contrasts winter's isolation. Our pest control is a spray away, but here, it's a communal stand against nature's reclaim. Health rebounds slowly. Scurvy scars fade with fresh greens, foraged ramps and dandelions boiled into tonics. Abigail brews elderberry syrup for lingering coughs, the sweet tang a welcome change from bitter roots. The children, pale from confinement, play in the mud, their laughter echoing, rebuilding strength through joy. Yet, malaria lurks in the swamps, mosquitoes buzzing with the thaw, a new foe replacing winter's chill. Could you heal without doctors, relying on folklore and faith? Trade revives as paths clear. Merchants arrive by boat, bartering cloth for furs, their tales of Boston or Philadelphia igniting dreams. Thomas exchanges pelts for seeds, Abigail for needles. The clink of coins, a rare sound. This exchange transitions from survival to growth, contrasting the self-reliance of winter. The indigenous trade continues, corn for tools, fostering uneasy peace amid tensions. As evening falls, the family gathers, the fire now optional, the air mild. Stories shift to future harvests, the children's eyes bright with anticipation. The rivers murmur, the crickets chirp, form a lullaby, easing the day's toil. Let this renewal from mud to bloom envelop you, the narrative's gentle close approaching. Under a strengthening sun, the air alive with the buzz of insects and the call of returning birds. Thomas plows the fields, the earth turning in rich furrows, ready for planting. The scent of fresh soil mingles with blooming wildflowers, a heady perfume that banishes winter's memory. Yet, this resurgence demands every ounce of energy. The body still weakened from months of deprivation. Could you muster the will for this rebirth, where the promise of harvest hinges on ceaseless toil? Let the budding leaves rustle, the imagined hum of bees, carry you into a profound tranquility. The story's gentle progression, with the full thaw in April, the settlement bursts into a frenzy of renewal, the mud drying a path to inner peace. The planting season is a race against time. Thomas sows corn kernels, spacing them carefully, while Abigail follows with beans and squash. the Three Sisters method ensuring mutual support. The ground, enriched by winter's decay, yields to the hoe, but weeds sprout swiftly, demanding constant vigilance. Children scatter seeds, their small hands learning the rhythm of the land, laughter mixing with the soil's soft thud. This labor contrasts our automated farms. Here, each plant is a prayer, vulnerable to late frosts or drought. Hooks like these, the uncertainty of nature, draw you in. A sudden hail could ruin weeks of work, leaving famine's shadow lingering. Livestock, thinned by winter, requires care. Thomas mends fences, guiding cows to fresh pasture, their bells tinkling softly. Milk flows again, a creamy addition to meals, churned into butter by Abigail's steady hand. The pigs, fattened on scraps, root in the woods, their grunts a familiar sound. But predators lurk, bears awakened from hibernation, foxes eyeing the hens. A night watch is set, musket at the ready, the crack of a shot echoing if needed. Could you stand guard, your eyes heavy from the day's exertions, contrasting our secure homes? Trade flourishes with the thaw. Ships dock at Jamestown, laden with goods from England, cloth, tools, spices, their sails billowing like hope. Thomas barters furs and tobacco, the leaf's pungent aroma filling the air, a cash crop that sustains the colony. Abigail selects needles and thread, her eyes lighting at the sight of fine linen. The indigenous trade continues, corn for beads, fostering alliances amid wary glances. This exchange transitions from isolation to connection, a smooth flow of goods and stories that enriches the soul. Health mends with the season. Fresh greens banish scurvy's remnants, energy returning with each bite of ramp salad or dandelion greens. Abigail tends a herb garden, lavender and mint sprouting, their scents a balm for lingering aches. The children, rosy-cheeked, run through meadows, their play rebuilding strength. Yet, new ailments arise, malaria from swamp mosquitoes, its fever shaking the body. Quinine bark, if available, offers relief, but often it's endured with bed rest and prayer. Contrast this with our vaccines. Here, resilience is forged in fire, a hook that tugs at your empathy. Community bonds strengthen, barn raisings unite neighbors, axes swinging in unison, laughter rising with the timbers. Feasts celebrate the thaw, fiddle music dancing through the air, feet stomping on plank floors. These gatherings, a contrast to winter's solitude, weave a tapestry of support. Thomas shares tales of the old country, Abigail of native lore, the blend a new American spirit. As twilight falls, the family retires, the cabin warm with spring's breath. The river's murmur lulls, stars twinkling above. Let this vitality, from toil to triumph, envelop you, the narrative nearing its end. As spring unfurls its verdant cloak across the settlement, the air grows rich with the fragrance of wild flowers and freshly turned earth. A soothing balm after winter's harsh embrace. The sun, now a steady companion, bathes Jamestown in golden light, its warmth coaxing life from every corner. Thomas leans on his hoe, surveying rows of sprouting corn, their green tips piercing the soil like promises kept. Abigail tends a patch of beans, her hands cradling delicate shoots, while children chase butterflies, their laughter a ripple through the afternoon stillness. This season of renewal contrasts sharply with the frozen desolation of January. where survival was a daily prayer. Yet, the specter of hardship lingers. Drought or pests could still threaten the harvest. Could you sustain this fragile hope, turning labor into abundance? Let the hum of bees, the imagined sway of blossoms, weave a gentle tapestry around you. The stories flow, a lullaby easing you toward rest. The fields demand relentless care. Thomas waters the crops with buckets hauled from the river. The water's cool weight, a test of endurance. Abigail weaves mats to shield tender plants from late frosts, her fingers nimble from months of mending. The children scatter straw, learning the land's rhythms, their small voices a soft counterpoint to the rustle of leaves. This toil, a stark shift from winter's huddle, contrasts our mechanized agriculture. Here, every drop of sweat shapes the future. Hooks like these draw you in. The sting of sun on your neck. The satisfaction of a straight row. Could you persevere, knowing the harvest's fate rests on your hands? Pests remain a constant foe. Deer graze at dusk, their hoofbeats a warning, while insects swarm the squash. Thomas builds a fence from saplings, his axe biting into wood, while Abigail brews a garlic wash to deter beetles, its pungent scent wafting through the air. The community rallies, sharing traps or watch shifts, their unity a bulwark against nature's encroachment. This vigilance transitions smoothly from spring's early defense to a broader stewardship, contrasting our pest control sprays. Could you guard your yield, night after night, with only wits and wood? Health thrives with the season's gifts. Ramps and wild onions, plucked from the forest, enrich stews, their sharp taste a delight after winter's blandness. Abigail distills elderflower water for fevers, the floral aroma filling the cabin, a remedy passed from native hands. Children grow sturdy, their games stretching across the fields, their energy a mirror to the land's revival. Yet, summer's heat looms, bringing new risks, sunstroke or dysentery from stagnant pools. Could you balance this bounty with caution? Without modern medicine, trade expands as paths dry. Merchants from Jamestown bring kettles and cloth, trading for tobacco or hides, their boats a lifeline to the coast. Thomas barters a deer pelt for a plow blade, Abigail for thread, the exchange a rhythm of growth. Indigenous trade persists, corn for wampum, weaving a fragile peace amid colonial ambitions. This commerce, a smooth evolution from spring's barter, contrasts winter's isolation, marking progress toward stability. As dusk settles, the family gathers, the fire a gentle glow, stories of harvest dreams lulling the children. The river's murmur, the night's quiet, cradle you. Let this renewal, from seed to stalk, envelop you, the tale's end near.